G'day, freedom lovers. How are we all today? And of course, you wonderful freedom fighters too. But, I think I prefer freedom lovers. So, misinformation. G'day, Susan. How you going? It's been a while. How is it in sunny Scotland? Expose the 28. Actually, I met a dude last weekend who had that as a t-shirt. His name escapes me right now, but I have arranged to perhaps do a bit of an interview with that dude at some point. Um, he might just happen to be somebody involved in it. How you going, Valerie? Cold. Yeah. So how was it was supposed to be summer recently, isn't that correct? Like what are we? So we're moving into the alleged spring, so it must be around autumn time over there, I guess. Moving in. So how are ya? Now, Leander, is it? Leander? Did I get that right? I think I've buggered this up nearly every week. Yeah, oh, sorry. I bet didn't Robin do a great job? I went back and watched what she'd done after my time on country with my Indigenous brothers and sisters, which was bloody awesome, mind you. I must say I had a corker of a time out there. They had some pretty awesome things sorted out. It's very exciting. I come away meeting some really amazing people who I will be sharing with you very soon. Actually, we've got a few things in the pipe works there. A lovely lady who was a lawyer who had some very disturbing tales to tell. And I look forward to her coming on the podcast to tell me those tales. Let me just go through because mine's a little bit blank at the moment. So that was Lee Johnson. She's lovely lady. Grandmother Sandy, another amazing lady that I sat down and had a great yarn with. It was Phil at Expose the 28 who reckons he's keen for a yarn as well, which would be really good. Struth. Tyler, if you're still out there, can you grab the some of that merchandise that Adrian made up for us, buddy? It should be sitting on the stack of homebrew. Appropriate place for it, I reckon. Um, who else did I speak to? I've forgotten his name. I'm really good with names in case you haven't noticed. That was So yeah, Ricky Powell, another awesome bloke who I come around to visit me after the thing. We're gonna sort some things out there. Come on in, Tyler. It's all right. I'll have to put it back up now. Good start. Thanks, buddy. So crazy. Adrian's been at it. We have shit stirring spoons now. Check it out. Check it out. Contact us and we will sort something out. These are, oh, that's upside down. The proton mail available there. And we got Crazy Adrian, of course. We'll give him a bit of a plug. He does some amazing work. I think he's definitely worth it. Done some amazing stuff for us. Like, they even got me little dog tags going, eh? So I don't know what kind of merchandise are people interested in. Would you buy these kind of things? Just drop me a line, let me know. I like this one. This is definitely going on my fridge. So this is a prototype. This one of what this looks like. Try and get a good angle there. Death to the New World Order, North Queensland Freedom Network. Also came in blue. So I don't know. Do you prefer the black or the blue? Let me know. Made us some cool coasters. It's got my ugly mug on it. Limited edition. Check it out. So there's that kind. It's got a nice little sort of shiny surface on it. What else we got here? We got another shiny surface one. Another more coasters. Probably order it. I think we might have to do them in some sort of a set. I guess you can custom build your sets. We'll have a yarn about that in time to come. Right now, just an expression of interest. If you're interested in these products, I quite like this one. It's actually got a really nice wood finish. I think I might give it a bit of a test here. And while we're worrying about tests of these things, sips must appropriately test these things out. So let's place that there. See how she holds up, eh? Yep. You know what? It's holding my glass. It's doing a great job. There were a few other things, but it's okay. So I got a big bag of these. We can actually start working on those. I'll get the price possibly for tomorrow's podcast. So tomorrow, Maurice will be coming on. He's come and shared some cool ideas with us before. We had him on for the Simulation Theory podcast. He will be coming back tomorrow, and we are going to discuss the I guess the trauma of the awakening process. Not that any of us have truly awakened. We're in the process of continuing to awake because Struth, why should I say it when we've got somebody better else someone who's better at saying it than I? Where is it? It's here somewhere. Bear with me. Right. Here it is.
Socrates. The only true wisdom consists in knowing that you know nothing. That's us, dude. Oh, yeah.
That's right. That is us. Because it doesn't matter how much you know, there's always something else to know. There's more to learn. We are in the process of awakening. So, you can't just go, oh, well, that's it. I'm awakening. I think that's the whole problem with the woke lefters. Oh, I'm woke. Past tense. I've already done it. Been there, done that. I know everything. Just ask them. They know everything. So, and that's what separates us from the woke-tard, is that, we realize that we don't know everything and we're here to learn as much as we can. That's the important thing. So I'm just keeping this rolling for a bit. We are waiting on George to pop in. He did say he would be here. At what time? Hoping for a 6:30 start. We'll see how we go. It depends. He's just flown back into the country, quickly smashed in a power nap, and ready to jump into this for us, which is very gracious of him. So obviously the nature of today is well, on Saturday that will be Saturday, Valerie. So tomorrow will be Maurice, and fundamentally it is to try and help people get through what's happened, and particularly since I've heard a few comments not just from people here in this podcast, but when I was listening to some of the what the fuck boys stuff and various other podcasts, and you hear these disturbing concepts that a lot of people are really doing it hard, really struggling to come to terms with what's happened and the great awakening process, and I think that's why it really is only for a chosen few, I guess, at this particular juncture in time, because it is such a hard thing to process, to accept that the world isn't what you thought it was, and that these people who claim to look after you and, in a government caring sort of role, are more likely to be satanic pedophiles than anything. But, that's just a theory, isn't it? Because, Epstein hung himself, right? Yeah. Just a theory. So yeah, I've been busy buying some stuff. I found this book one, actually. I haven't actually read it. I seen it online. It cost me a whole $12. So I don't know if it's any good yet. I'll keep you posted. For a whole $12, I reckon it was worth a crack at learning. See if it was or not. I also figured, since I enjoyed the digital version so much, I'm actually going to buy a proper hard copy of this book, because it is a bloody great one. I don't get anything for spruiking this book, just that I love it, man. It was great. And if I keep a copy of it here, I won't forget A Troublesome Inheritance is the name of the book, like I do nearly every week. And another one that I heard about recently, I purchased this one. I reckon this one will be a good one to suss out, see if it's any good. Now, I was watching Redacted, and they had the writer come on, and he conducted quite a good sales pitch. I thought it was really good. So I thought, fuck it, I'll lash out and I'll buy it. And I also want to thank. Let me bring this up so I don't get it wrong. That's not the button I wanted you to do. What are you doing? Take me to the page I want to see. Greg. I want a big thanks to Greg. Was it Greg? No, he's on the free tier. Sorry, no, there's a new one, new fellow who's come in, and let me order it in that order. Haha. Was it? Maybe it was Greg. Oh, it's Curly. Sorry, that's right. Curly is his alias here. Thanks heaps, man, for becoming a new Patreon member. Top job, and also for making a generous donation so I could buy these books. That's for you, that's from you. So thank you very much. As you can see, do spend this money wisely, on things that will hopefully help us sort of keep informed and inform the general public. So there are a couple more books on the way that I've purchased as well. Now I've got to find the time to read them because I don't even have the time to set these shows up properly half the time. So obviously, the nature of this podcast today is the mis and disinformation bill. Obviously George is hopefully going to be our guest. He did say he would come on. So, we're just being patient. It's all good. I know he'll be here. Have faith. Have faith. I was watching Bill Hicks the other day. You don't have got to have faith. You've got to have talent. As he was raving on about whoever it was who wrote that song. All I can think of is the Limp Bizkit version. It might be just my generation. Well, hang on. Who did that song? I think. I don't know. Anyway, while we're waiting, we might have a look at some of the screen share stuff. So you'll find in the comments, one of the things you can do is get involved with the petition. The petition is part of the Citizens Go thing. The link is in the description. If you're having trouble, just email me. Somebody said they had trouble because I need to leave this up longer. There is a link tree in the description, which might be confusing people. I think the North Queensland Freedom Network, proton.com there. So NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com is a way to contact me if you would like me to send you one of these things. We do need to move fast. Submissions close on Monday. So, in typical socialist form, the Labor government has only given us a week to write submissions. I had a chat with a few people, during the week, and some people are stressed. They're not that tech savvy, but it's okay. We are going to walk you through how to do this. It is pretty straightforward. It's not rocket science, but yeah, the link to this petition is available in the description, and you can click onto it to sign it up. It already says I have signed because I have signed. So, but here would be the button. You click I'll sign and you punch in, your basic details. It's pretty straightforward. George Christensen's running this, so it's somebody you can trust. At least I think so. Pretty confident we can trust George. He seems to be a pretty good bloke. Obviously we'll go through the communications legislation. This is also in the description. There's the link here. You can track the inquiry, and this is where you're going to upload your submission. So, fundamentally, what I recommend is sort of typing something out, just brainstorm your ideas. And this is a process I use for anything, whether, I'm going to start a little short story, one day I'll release them, or whether I'm going to, write a song. Again, one day I'll record some more. I have recorded some in the past, but that's another story. I just throw shit down. Don't think about it. Just pour it out. Whatever you're feeling. You can call them everything under the sun in your first draft. And this is why I tend to, prefer to use letters to start with, because you can vent all that I really, really want to wring your neck sort of stuff, out in the first draft. Kick back, relax, have a tea or a coffee or something, then come back half an hour later and go, okay, I don't really want to rip your head off. Well, I do, but I'm not going to say that, that kind of thing. Just pour it out. Let it go, and save it in a Word document or whatever document of your choosing. You can do whatever. Personally, this is what I wrote the last time. So, the first thing I thought of is pretty much what I wrote, this proposed mis and disinformation bill. And I'm going to do something similar this time. Basically, I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to reword it and submit it again. Anybody want a copy of what I've done so that you can sort of brainstorm ideas from, by all means, just shoot me an email and I'll email it to you. Excuse me. Another thing I might do, jump onto my Telegram, which I believe there should be a link for in the link tree, which is in the description. So there's the link tree. Support this channel with the link tree. So linktr.ee, just to be nice and confusing, at NQ Freedom Network. And I should have all our links there. I haven't looked at it a little while, but it should be there. The one for our Telegram account. Go to our Telegram account. I might just drop PDFs and a few things. I do that occasionally. I haven't done it in a while, actually. I'll drop PDFs and a few bits and pieces in there where you can download that stuff directly. You know, it is a good way of doing it. I'll definitely be putting it into the Patreon later. And for you Patreon people, please drop me a line. Let me know what you want to see as your special bonus content, videos that only you who have paid will get a chance to see. So shoot me a message. Tell me what you want to see. This is a great opportunity to do that. But yeah, I'll share this little piece of writing here. So, you know, this proposed disinformation bill is censorship, plain and simple, and is reminding me a lot of a party in history that, much like the Labour Party, claimed to be the National Workers' Party, also promoted socialism and had radical ideas about the native peoples, you know. And obviously at the time when I wrote this, you know, we had the whole voice thing going on. So I made reference to that, you know, having recently spent time with the Indigenous, which I've done again, funny enough. They have shared a lot of disturbing history with me as well, as their opposition to current government proposals. You know, they have been censored by Australian governments for a long time, a lot of it recently. I thought we were moving in a direction of tolerance and understanding. This can only come from open communication. So, you know, basically just sort of throwing their own shit back in their faces, which is always one of the greatest ways to deal with government, is to turn their shit around and go, I thought you were supposed to be good people. Turns out you're being an asshole, and this is why. You know, obviously don't word it that way. You know, word it better like this. To begin, or to being, obviously misspelt that. I'll correct that in the next version. To begin my analysis of this bill, I think it is important that we look at this excerpt from the Holocaust Encyclopedia. You know, and I've screenshotted it and chucked it in. You know, so you can see, you know, it's very important to use the symbolism, I think, in this context here. You know, so how did the Nazis use censorship? When the Nazis came to power in 1933, the German constitution granted freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Through decrees and laws, the Nazis abolished these civil rights and destroyed German democracy. Very important when dealing with the mis and disinformation bill, I think, because it seems to do the same thing. Starting in 1934, it was illegal to criticize the Nazi government. Even telling a joke about Hitler was considered treachery. Now, we know AlboSleazy really loves it when we do these kind of things. And perhaps it might have spurred on some of this stuff, you know, because that's misinformation, says AlboSleazy. You know, you can't say these things. You know, he probably doesn't like it when we do things like this, for instance. Oh, things like this, for instance, you know. Maybe he doesn't like this either, you know. So this kind of stuff gets you in a lot of trouble in Nazi Germany, and if we keep going, it will happen right here too, you know. Of course, you can't say these things, you know. Well, you won't be able to if they get their shit through. So yeah, even telling a joke. So people in Nazi Germany could not say or write whatever they wanted. Examples of censorship under the Nazis including closing down or taking over anti-Nazi newspapers, which in this case will be websites, Facebook profiles, X profiles, you know, YouTube accounts, all that kind of stuff. Controlling what news appeared in newsletters, on the radio, and in the newsreels. And they kind of already do that, which is obviously why they're upset, because everybody's gone, well, we're not going to listen to this crap. We're going to go to, you know, Joe Blow on the internet, you know, someone like me, for instance, you know, or someone like Michael, or someone like George, or someone, you know, take your pick. You get the idea. But yeah, banning and burning books that the Nazis categorized as un-German. You know, truth, they might come through and burn my entire bookshelf. Controlling what soldiers wrote home during World War II. Important things, you know, we're going to make sure everybody gets a good dose of propaganda wherever, you know. So if we do not learn from our past, we are destined to repeat it. This is a tragic event in human history that is in grave danger of emerging once again. Although the modern left claims to be against the right-wing agendas of the Nazis, they seem very quick to share many of the same ideologies and policies. This new bill is a perfect example of my disturbing observations. The website Alpha History shows a similar bill implemented by the Nazis, and I would like to draw attention in particular to section 14. Link to the website so everyone can see. Editors are especially obligated to keep out of newspapers anything which A, is misleading, maybe misinformation might be another word to put in that place, to the public by mixing selfish interests with community interests. So don't be selfish. Think of the community, because that's how we work in communism. The ambiguous term that states anything that is misleading, which is something that is in the previous bill. I haven't had a chance to go through the new bill intently, but I imagine it won't be much different. It seems from what my basic observations so far, this new bill is actually worse than the last one. But when George pops in, I'm sure he can give us a bit of a breakdown, hopefully. By Sunday, I should have a bit more of an idea, and I should do a podcast then, I guess. Sips. George better get here soon. He's going to find me passed out on the other side. Anyway, so obviously I've taken an excerpt from their particular bill at that time in order to emphasize my point. This terminology could mean anything the government doesn't like or considers a threat to itself, an assessment that history agrees with. So you sort of get the idea of what I've done, and I went on for a few pages. I might have gotten a little bit carried away, but at the end of the day, this all spawned from that brainstorming concept. I'm like, right, this is Nazi Germany. How do I prove it? So I started checking. I'm like, check out censorship and stuff from the Nazis. And I think I even made a reference to Soviet Russia as well at some point, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah. Pretty sure it was this one here. Jesse History. Sov Center. Censorship had a negative impact on art and culture as the quality of what was produced was reduced. Some artists refused to create any work. And great examples of censorship around the world historically, and it's also associated with repressive, socialist, communist, totalitarian dictatorships. And I find it very disturbing indeed that in this modern era, anyone in this country would be attempting to implement such a thing. After having spent some time recently with Indigenous and getting their views, I discovered how much the Australian government has tried to suppress their free speech. Some still remember not being able to speak their language or their oral traditions. This has already done a massive amount of damage to the Aboriginal culture through censorship. It is baffling that our current government would propose an Indigenous voice to Parliament and at the same time seek to suppress the voice of the entire country. So I thought was a very important thing at the time, and I think still somewhat relative. I think in this case it'd be more of this is what happened. I'll just jig it a little bit. So having already done a lot of the hard work, I intend to fundamentally just reword this one, make sure I spell a few things better than I did the last one. And yeah, like I said, this was just a brainstorm. I just poured it all out. In fact, I poured it all out to the point where I think I will hopefully find time to do it better this time. We'll see how we go. Who is our P. Diddy? Anyone know? That is a good question, Or was it just me? I don't know, because he used to be Puff Daddy, right? And I never thought the guy had much talent myself. I thought he was bloody horrible, I don't mind rap music or anything like that, I'm not a hugest rap fan, I like, a bit of NWA and the old Ice Cube. I've got a couple of Ice-T albums in there. I was a bit more for the body count sort of thing, mix the metal with the rap, But Puff Daddy, I'm like, why is anybody listening to this shit? But anyway, when he changed his name to P. Diddy, I thought, makes it sound like he's some kind of kitty fiddler to me. That's just the first thing that popped into my head. P. Diddy, fiddle kitties. I don't know. That's just what popped into my head. And now it turns out he's a pretty sick dude. So yeah, time and time again. We just keep getting shown this sort of shit. Hey, and at what point are people going to go, oh, well, you know, was it just that one off? Really? Was it just that one off? How many more have done this? You know, how many more are in there doing that crap? You know, because you know it's not just one. Sips. So I did reach out to Senator Rennick and Roberts as well. They did get back to me, but they're pretty busy at the moment. We may get something with Senator Rennick later. I don't know about today, but maybe tomorrow. I did send him a quick link and said, hey, man, feel free to drop in. You know, the email thing is a bit of a problem because it's not easy to check emails while you're driving a truck. I'll just point that out. You know, you shouldn't be checking emails while driving heavy vehicles. Probably shouldn't be doing it while you're driving a vehicle at all. You know, especially since I was driving down the road the other day and I see some bloody doofus riding down the street, wrong side of the road, no helmet on. I'm amazed he didn't have a mask on, to be honest. I did see that happen once. Playing with his phone. What, are you trying to kill yourself? Seriously? So anyway, in my head, P. Diddy, tiny dick. I like that one. Yep, cool. Fair enough. I'll pay that. I'm sorry, I've neglected some of these comments. I should probably have a look at some. What about misinformation about masks and jabs from the government, says Rachel. You know, totally agree. They have been the biggest purporters of misinformation themselves, you know. So is the lamestream media. And, you know, like, I mean, don't get a fail of the year like Channel 10 and The Bully did without peddling misinformation yourselves. So, you know, but of course these people have made themselves exempt. What I found really interesting is you're not even allowed to criticize the banks, apparently, according to this new one. It's like, what? You can't criticize the fact that we're getting absolutely robbed blind. You know, it makes me wonder how much harder they intend to fuck us. Bend over. Take this, big bankster. Very disturbing stuff indeed. Good morning, Marianne. So, George might still be thinking we were on the 7 o'clock schedule. Might not have got my message in time before he had a nap, so that's okay. Hopefully he'll be here in the next 10 minutes. We'll get a little bit of time with George, I'm sure. So, all right. Look, you know, that's where I was going. He was unable to make it, but I did manage to find this little video of Malcolm Roberts, which will give us a sense of his appearance, because, you know, at least I got a response, which is pretty good. You know, these people, and that's another thing. Reach out to your local politicians in any way, shape, or form. They're obligated to get back to you, you know, and if they don't get back to you, make a big deal out of it, you know. So anyway, Malcolm Roberts. He is the voice of the man who couldn't be here today.
Thank you. I move the motion. What do the billionaires who run the world do when we, the people, realise how much has been stolen from us? How much money, how much sovereignty, how much opportunity? In the next few minutes, it will become obvious what this has to do with the Misinformation and Disinformation Bill, MAD, MAD for short. The world's predatory billionaires do not wield their power directly. They hide behind wealth funds such as BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street and First State. These funds act in concert with political change agents, including large superannuation and sovereign wealth funds such as Norga's. The racket these subversive elements are running really is racketeering. They use their wealth to buy shares in companies that are then required to follow the agenda. This is not my opinion. These are the exact words of BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. Buying out Western civilization is an expensive business. The never-ending quest for more money and more power and more control is being noticed and resisted. Much of that resistance has been a result of Elon Musk buying X and allowing the truth to live in one mainstream forum. The minute the BlackRock racketeers walk into a boardroom, any notion of public interest is abandoned. A case in point is Coles and Woolies, who used to pride themselves on providing the necessities of life, food and clothing, at the lowest possible price through competition. With the presence of an almost complete set of predatory wealth funds on their share registers, in recent years Coles and Woolies no longer compete against each other. Instead, they collude to pursue a pricing strategy designed to maximise profit from our necessities of life. Profit that's sent overseas into the coffers of these sovereign wealth funds, leaving Australians permanently poorer. In 2022-23, around an election, Woolies donated $110,000 to the ALP. In 2022-23, other industries under the control of these predatory wealth funds, including the big pharmaceutical industry that donated $1 million to the ALP. What do they get for their money? Last Tuesday, I spoke in favour of the Community Affairs Committee inquiry report into a prospective terms of reference for a Royal Commission into COVID response. Despite me simply agreeing with the committee report, and despite my using only peer-reviewed and published science to support my position, Senator Ayres from the Labor Party chose to describe my words as, quote, listen to this, damaging misinformation and disinformation. There is a reason why the ASIO Director-General highlights the role of extremist misinformation and disinformation in terms of its corrosive effect. It does lead to some of the acts of violent extremism here and overseas, motivated by the same vile conspiracy theories that we've just heard. Wow. What a rant. No data, no argument, just empty labels. Our New Zealand friends started their Royal Commission into COVID in December 2022. New Zealand has now decided the Royal Commission unearthed so much behaviour that was cause for concern. They've expanded the Royal Commission to include looking into COVID in much greater depth, including vaccine harm. The New Zealand Royal Commission now closely resembles the Royal Commission the Senate Standing Committee on Community Affairs recommended following their inquiry initiated on a One Nation referral. For Senator Ayres to say this is extremist misinformation and disinformation, likely to lead to acts of violent extremism, is a complete slap in the face to New Zealand's Royal Commission, and one that Senator Ayres would be well advised to reconsider. This is the trouble when the government panics that $1 million in donations is at risk excuse me, and brings on a bill that will shut up any opposition to the rule of the billionaires through their front companies. In this case, pharmaceutical companies. A rule that is quite simply a threat to the future of our beautiful country. With total clarity, Senator Ayres has drawn the battle lines here. What's the truth in New Zealand Parliament is extremist misinformation and disinformation in Australia, if the Ayres government says it is. This bill has no protections, no checks and balances. It should rightly be renamed the Crush Any Opposition to the Billionaires Bill. While the Labor Party's desire for totalitarian censorship is no surprise, the people need to be aware the Morrison Littleproud Liberal Nationals introduced this bill. Opposition Leader Dutton makes no indication whether he intends to oppose the bill. I guess because when he gets in, he'll be happy to use its onerous provisions. While I don't have time to go into the Liberal Party's donations from companies under the control of the world's predatory billionaires, the same issue affects both parties. The Morrison Littleproud government kept the COVID vaccine contracts hidden from our request to make the contracts public for those who paid for the injections, taxpayers. The temptation to have extra money to spend in an election campaign has proven far too tempting for the major parties and their independents. Their objectivity, their common sense, that have been compromised. The world's predatory billionaires' downfall will be their hubris. The question is, who will go down with them?
Wonderful words. I especially like the part where he said, you know, empty words, and they pull back and there's an empty fucking parliament just to add weight to it. It's just, I have to wonder if it was done on purpose, you know, like it cracked me up. I think they are relying, what was that one? I think they are relying on Trump not getting in. Yeah, look, you know, I'd like to think that Trump is, you know, everything that he says he is, but you know, one of the things I find interesting, you know, we'll stop the war in Ukraine. Don't hear him say anything about stopping the war in Israel and Palestine. Just thought I'd point that out. You know, it's, yeah. I don't have much faith. You know, Faith No More isn't just one of my favourite bands. It's a way of life for me. I don't have faith. I'm sorry. You know, I have faith in myself. I have faith in, say, the Labor Party to be a pack of tyrants. You know, I won't get into it too much, but I think you get the idea. You know, there you go. What about here? Yep, you're right there. So anyway, what do you think of this new shirt? And I bought this one. I love Halloween time. You know, I can get clothes that I wear all year. You know, some people say, actually, and I think it was last year I dropped some Halloween stuff on the counter, and the guy's going, "Oh, shopping up for Halloween." I'm like, "Fuck's Halloween? I wear this shit every day." You know, dude didn't know what to say. Eh? I didn't quite. I don't think he got the humor in it, but you know, I guess you know, intelligence and sarcasm's wasted on some people. Anyway. So while we're waiting, we can have a quick look at some other things, you know. Yeah, cool. Get that off. Yeah. So Senator Babbitt today, I, along with Senator Alex Antic, Pauline Hanson, Matt Canavan, Malcolm Roberts, Matthew O'Sullivan, Terry Young, Tony Basin. Yeah, you get the idea. There's the list of names, you know. Signed an open letter to the Prime Minister regarding the WHO pandemic treaty. You know, because let's face it, this disinformation stuff and all the stuff that's happening is coming from the UN. We know this, you know. It's not coincidence that it's all happening all around all of the European Western nations at the same friggin' time. You know, like it's far too coincidental to be a coincidence. You know, the treaty poses a significant threat to Australia's autonomy and independence. We call on the government to reject international health regulations amendments and the WHO pandemic treaty. The vote is likely to take place on the 27th of May 2024. So this is an old one. I've seen it posted recently. I'm thinking, hang on, this should be a new one. So I don't know if that went forth. What happened there? Sorry. This is what happens when you do things at the last minute. Anyway, so Mr. Rennick, someone else who unfortunately couldn't make it, this week's proposed misinformation bill shows just how totalitarian our political leaders have become. Both major parties have supported misinformation laws being introduced into Parliament. It's a reflection of just how shallow and weak politicians have become. Unlike Kennedy, they are afraid to face scrutiny and tolerate the different viewpoints. Having seen the internal workings of the coalition, this is not surprising. Party members who question the narrative aren't allowed to run for pre-selection or are thrown out of the party. This just leaves a conga line of yes men who do and say exactly what they are told, you know. And as Mr. Kennedy said, we are not afraid to entrust the American people with unpleasant facts, foreign ideas, alien philosophies, and competitive values. For a nation that is afraid to let its people judge the truth and falsehood in an open market is a nation that is afraid of its people. And I think that is an important concept there. The government is afraid of the people. And you know what? That's a good thing. You might think it's a bad thing. No, it's a good thing that they're afraid of us because it shows that we have power and they're worried about us wielding it. So take heed, and it shows that what we're doing is working. You know, they wouldn't be doing this if what we did wasn't working. You know, it's making them look bad. And a government should be afraid of its people. It should then keep them in check and doing the right thing. You know. Otherwise words, this misinformation bill is something else. Fancy trying to censor criticism of the banking system and the financial markets. What's so concerning is how on earth did that clause even get into the bill? Have the private banks and superannuation funds infiltrated the government to such an extent that they are now dictating what people can say? Fascism is generally defined as when corporations are more powerful than the government, and based on this proposal, it would appear that in Australia this is certainly the case. Is anyone really surprised? Oh no, I'm not. The banks and superannuation funds are even more powerful than I thought. Governments are clearly no longer interested in serving the people. And here's some excerpts from this current bill that we are going, you know, and these are things that I'll be grabbing and adding in, and I suggest you do too. So anybody who wants a copy of this, I'm going to post it into the comments so you can find it on X. And this, as you can see, I don't actually have myself logged in, so you can check this stuff straight up without having to create an account. So don't stress about that. You know, this big annoying blue thing will come up. That's fine. Just click the little X as I did earlier, and it goes away. So anyway, 13, meanings of misinformation and disinformation, For the purposes of this schedule, dissemination of content using a digital service is misinformation on the digital service if A, the content contains information that is reasonably verifiable as false, misleading, or deceptive. So again, ambiguous terms like reasonably verifiable. By who? By what? It's so open-ended it could mean anything. 14, the meaning of serious harm. For the purposes of this schedule, serious harm is harm to the operation or integrity of a commonwealth, state, territory, or local government electoral or referendum process. So, for instance, people getting together against the candidate they don't like, that could be, considered harm to the integrity of it. B, harm to the public health in Australia, including to the efficacy and preventative health measures in Australia, which we've already discussed in length. And to go into further will require, given YouTube, the big wipe, PooTube, as it's possible, more adequately called, and then you understand why we need to give it a wipe. The verification of a group in Australian society distinguished by race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, intersex status, disability, nationality or national or ethnic origin, or vilification of an individual because of a belief that the individual is a member of such a group. So does that mean serious harm towards anyone in, the alleged crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist group? Well, that's an insult. Can we now have those people reprimanded and taken down because that's serious harm? Or is this only going to be a one-way street? Internationally inflict physical injury to an individual in Australia. Oh, intentionally, sorry, not internationally. Intentionally inflict. Oh, well, okay, that's fair enough. Imminent damage to critical infrastructure, disruption of emergency services. I mean, again, will this go down to all those lunatic leftists were throwing acid at horses and shit? Like, that never happened during the really big protests that happened over the last few years. The really big ones, where everybody fought against the real medical misinformation that has significant or far-reaching consequences for the Australian community or a segment of the Australian community, or serves consequences for an individual in Australia, or severe consequences for an individual in Australia. Well, this whole bill has severe consequences for many individuals in Australia. I mean, the bill itself contradicts itself in that very notion. So, from that, again, I'll be writing something to the effect of, according to, Section 14H, I perceive this bill to be of severe consequence for me as an individual and many others as individuals in this country. Therefore, this bill must be squashed under its own default terminologies. I'll find a better way to word it. That's just the first thing that popped into my head, which is what I type, and then I figure it out, So, and as you see, as I'm reading this, ideas are popping in my head. Cool. Well, we can turn this and twist it that way. We can turn this and twist it that way. And I think that's a really important thing to make in this submission, is to how you can twist and turn this to mean absolutely anything. And by providing those kind of examples of, well, I perceive this to mean da 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 da. And if enough people do that and twist and turn it and show the ambiguity of this terminology within their submissions, then we've got something to work with, and that'll really shine a light on it. So, there's a wonderful suggestion to get you started. Have a look at these little bits and pieces. Of course, we can, once you've got it, you can go to the actual bill itself, and we can go and scroll down until we find it. Oh, that's sorry, that was the overview of it. Wrong bit. We want this bit. So, and you got all your definitions there, which is something, kind of like the encyclopedia. If you're looking at it as a computer programming kind of point of view, it basically sets out the parameters. All the meanings. We're going to come down here. So here's 13, So from there, meanings and definitions 1A. So we come over here to that bit there, 1A. And you can see it. And from there, you can actually go through B, C, D, and add a little bit more into it. There might be more here within the meanings and information. So we know there's a place to start. So when you click on the link, and for those of you wondering, how did we do that again? So you follow the link that's in the description. If you don't have it and you can't find it for whatever reason, say you're on X, and I don't think the description comes up in X. So if you're on X and you want me to help you out, you know what? Look, I'm going to help you out right now, especially if you're live. I'm going to drop that in the comments. All right. So this is the source right here, and you click here down the bottom, the text of the bill. You click that, and it opens up that. Obviously it'll start at the top, but we're going to come back down here, and not long after there you've got section 14, which is what we're looking at before. So that's that part there. But we'll come back to this. So hopefully you guys are getting the rough idea here. We don't need to bring that up on the screen, Tracy. Well, actually, maybe we do. Maybe we'll leave that there for people who do want to write that down. I know people do that. I look at it and go, we don't need to do that. It's in the description. But anyway, I need to be mindful of those people who don't think like me. So I hear a big thank you out in the outside. No worries, Tracy. So Jared Renning also had some other interesting elements. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to realize that misinformation bill is about shutting down people who go against the government narrative. To exclude governments, media, universities just goes to show how belligerent and unashamed the authorities have become in exerting power. And the fact that they've added the universities and the media into it shows that these elements, the government, have these guys under control. They wouldn't be exempt if that wasn't the case. So, and this is what I love about these people doing what they're doing. They are showing you who they are straight up. They're not lying to you anymore. They're flat out telling you the governments, media, and university are all in on it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be exempt. The definition of harm can be used to shut down anyone who calls out the woke mind virus. Well, there we go. And again, I'm woke and I'm hurt feelings now. This bill needs to be killed stone dead. Oh, yeah. So let's have a look at this picture nice and big. So excluded content for misinformation purposes means any of the following. A, content produced in good faith for the purposes of entertainment, parody, or satire. Cool, I'm free, because I said that at the beginning, didn't I? That's my disclaimer, so it should be all right? But probably not. Professional news content. Wow, I'm a professional camera operator. I've worked for the news. Surely I'm exempt. Probably not. Content produced by or for an educational institution accredited by any of the following: the Commonwealth, a state, a territory, a body recognized by the Commonwealth, a state, or a territory as an accreditor of educational institutions. So long as the government has given you a good pat on the ass and said it's okay, it's all good. D, content produced by or for an educational institution accredited by a foreign government or a body recognized by a foreign government as an accreditor or educational institution, and to a substantially equivalent standards as a comparable Australian educational institution. C, content that is authorized by the Commonwealth, the state, a territory, a local government. Anyway, people in power. Only the people in power are allowed to speak. Exclude services for misinformation purposes has the meaning given by Clause 6. Foreign government has the same meaning as in Foreign Acquisitions and Takeovers Act 1975. Harm means any of the following: hatred against a group in Australian society on the basis of ethnicity. Yeah, all the box ticking. Disruption of public order or society. So yeah, organising a protest, for instance. Harm to the integrity of Australian democratic process or the Commonwealth. state, harm to the health. How is it harmful to the health? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm depressed now. I mean, again, I'd like to report the government, but they've made themselves exempt for causing me health to my, harm to our health by forcing us into specific medical procedures, perhaps. Harm to the Australian environment. Like putting up wind farms and solar farms all over the place, bulldozing entire friggin' rainforests and clubbing koalas over the head. Economic or financial harm to Australians, the Australian economy, or a sector of the Australian economy. There you go. Wonderfully draconian things that we're dealing with here. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I'm getting a bit concerned that our guest hasn't turned up yet. A little disappointing. So while we're at it, what can we do? I'm going to quickly play you the old Bogan Nation song while I make a quick phone call. Thanks. So yeah, I had a lot of fun making that. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. So let me just set this up. So fortunately, George isn't answering. That's a bit upsetting. It is what it is. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. Continue with what I was going to do once he had parted. Yeah. Anyway. So, when you follow the link that's in the description, or I'll email to you if you need me to email it to you. I'm even, actually, while I'm thinking of it, I'm going to chuck it up on Telegram too. So you can go to my Telegram page. Where am I? There's my page. So there's the link to it on the Telegram page as well. So, once you come to this page, obviously, you've clicked the bell to get what you want. I like to right click and open a new tab, which is always a good thing to do, because that way, you can keep this page open and other ones page open afterwards, hence all these tabs and whatnot. A little bit full on, but it's okay. So what we're going to do, we click the upload submissions button, so I'm going to right click that one, copy that link, and we'll just paste it in here. Paste and go. Why aren't you doing it? God damn it. Anyway, let's just click it. It doesn't matter. So upload submission. All right. Now, I've already logged in, so I kind of blew that. It'll come up and it'll ask you, give you some information and tell you need to log in. All right. And you'll, God damn it. I was hoping to do that properly and I could have that set up elsewhere. Let's just log out for the time being. And let's go back. So now, this time, if I do it, upload submission, right, it comes up with this page. That's what was supposed to happen. Obviously you can contact them if you have a problem, but you'll see here, log in. They didn't make it very simple. It's a very, government way of thinking, I guess. You're supposed to read it all through, and when you're ready to submit, click this. By all means, read all this shit so you understand what the hell's going on. Personally, it's pretty straightforward. Submitting if this is your first time submitting online to an inquiry, you need to create a My Parliament login. Right, so you got to create your login, which I've already done, and then you log in. Now, I'm just gonna, when you click login, it comes up with this sort of stuff. I'm gonna drop that down just so I can actually log in again. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab that bit. Punch in my email address. And I don't want the government to have my details. They've already got them, so stop being fucking paranoid, okay? They've got you. You're fucked. Seriously. I don't see this being a problem. So once you log in, it comes up with this page. It's already selected because you followed the link from the page you want. So it already selects the page you want for you. Nice and easy. We click next. Is this account for a personal submission or providing a submission on behalf of an organization? So if you have a business, you could probably do both. You could do one as a personal entity and do one as an organization. So I might do that, actually. I could probably throw it in as a, under my Aussie Icon Productions, and I might even do one under North Queensland Freedom Network, and, and upload the same thing. But anyway, we're going to go personal for the sake of it, and it's got all your information, title, God, obviously, what else would you put, you put 010 or something like that just to be a smart ass. It's up to you. Punch in all your shit, all right? So just for the sake of doing this, I don't want all that. So title, God, or man. It's another option as well. Address, where I live. I do propose you put proper information in. They already got it anyway. Fucking hell, seriously, you get a rates notice? What's written on it? Come on, let's not beat around the bush here. the state of Queensland. Well, you want to see the state of Queensland? Go and have a look at that wonderful video by Pauline Hanson. I'm sure one day she'll thank me for the ideas. And then we click next once you've done that. So bring it back. Here you go, make a submission, you know. If you wish to, so inquiry and the communications, yep, that bill provisions. If you wish to change the inquiry, click to previous button. No, but that is so it's just letting you know that that's the bill that we've chosen, right? You've put your personal submission as your details. Privacy committees decide whether to accept or publish submissions on the inquiry webpage. Isn't it nice of them? So they're censoring you before you get to talk about censorship, no doubt. So yeah, do refrain from saying I'd like to see you, hung like Hitler or something to that effect. You don't want to be saying things like that. It's not nice. So mind your manners. Get your point of view across as professionally and eloquently as possible. Your contact details will not be published and will be removed from the secretariat. I'm not even going to try. If you are, it's too late on a Friday, submitting my document on behalf of an organization, Would you like to request your name document? Would you like to have your name published? Go for it. I usually go, yeah, publish my name document. I mean, fucking hell, I'm explaining how to do this on the website, and I've already shown everyone anyway. I don't give a shit. You can ask to keep your name. You'd be private if you feel that way. Your name and document or part of the document be accepted on a confidential basis and not published on the inquiry. Personally, I'm just like, fuck it. Let the world know. I don't give a shit. I know Hitler wasn't hung, it was like one of those mixed metaphors, hung like Jesus instead of hung like Hitler, but anyway, kind of like, Back to the Future. That's about as funny as a screen door on a battleship. Sips. See, it was supposed to be a joke within the joke that led to another joke. Anyway, kind of like a book within a book about another book, hence Terry Pratchett. What was that one? Where's My Cow? Great book for children. Highly recommend it. Especially if you read Thud, which was where the book came from, that book. And they talked about another book within the book. Go figure that out. Anyway, makes sense if you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, there you go. Upload your files. And from there, you click your thingamabob and it opens up. And, we don't want to see all that. Anyway, upload your files. Click it. Wherever you saved it. Done. Submit. And you're done, man. It's that simple. It's really not that hard. And if you get confused, just come back and watch the video again. Personally, I don't see much of an issue. I think it's pretty easy. Hopefully that helped a lot of people sort of go through, how do I make a submission? And, the more people do this, obviously people making submissions is an issue. They don't want that happening. That's why they chose grand final weekend for the AFL, for, all the rest of the Queenslanders who, well, what, the grand final's next week? Yes, it is for the NRL, but this week, AFL grand final. Not that I care much. Not even a Victorian team didn't even make it in, so I'm sure, most of the Victorians are probably not even going to watch it. Or will they? I don't know. How dedicated are they to that game? Got me. So, any questions? Do we get it? You know what's going on? Can somebody explain it to me? We'll get onto it tomorrow. Good work, Shona. That's the way. Because the more people who do this, the better. I heard Walt Disney was Hitler. Hey, anything's possible in this world, eh? Anything's possible. So anyway, I think I might just say a big wipe to PooTube because, I'm feeling frisky and I might just say something that PooTube might consider mis and disinformation because we already have a mis and disinformation Google world. It was interesting, I type in, Malcolm Roberts and Senator Rennick, in association with mis and disinformation, even into DuckDuckGo, which is supposed to be free, but we know it's not. And it just comes up with examples of them spreading mis and disinformation already. So the internet's already compromised in that sense. But I'm actually trying to find what they were talking about in regards to mis and disinformation. But no, they give me propaganda instead. So speaking of propaganda, YouTube, that's for you. Remove. Big wipe